Hey everybody, it's Jamie from No Getting Off This Train, and we are getting in the fall spirit with some healthy pumpkin recipes. So today I am bringing you 4 different healthy pumpkin recipes that you can make this fall. If you guys have known me for a while, you know I love pumpkin. It is like the one thing I look forward to in the fall season. Pumpkin spice lattes, baking all the pumpkin goods, like everything to do with pumpkin, like that is me. And while I do encourage everybody to treat themselves every so often, sometimes you really just want to eat something every day. So that's why I have these healthier versions of pumpkin treats for you guys. It is a little bit lower in sugar. These are also made with whole wheat flour, so you get a little bit of extra fiber with them as well. But these you can definitely eat every day. So the 4 recipes I have for you today are pumpkin pancakes, pumpkin scones, pumpkin muffins, and pumpkin baked oatmeal. All the recipes for these can be found in the description, so make sure you check out all those links and give those bloggers some love. So without further ado, let me get into the first recipe. This first recipe is for the healthier pumpkin pancakes. This might look familiar if you watched my video from the week before. I did a meal prep session and these pancakes were part of it. I love this recipe because it uses whole wheat flour and there doesn't make a whole lot, which you can always double the recipe. I think mine ended up making 10 or 12, something like that. But it's just a standard pancake recipe where you put all the dry ingredients in first and then the wet ingredients. I also don't add a lot of sugar to these pancakes. I don't think pancakes use a lot of sugar anyway, but because we put maple syrup on it anyway, the maple syrup is so sweet, you don't really need a whole lot. I added just, I think 2 tablespoons of maple syrup to the pancake recipe. I use a huge griddle which can fit up to 6 pancakes at a time, but you could use a larger pan if you need to. But this way, I get these pancakes done so much faster. And just like any other standard pancake recipe, you'll let them sit for a minute or 2 on each side to cook. I don't have a better angle of this because, as you can see, this was from my other meal prep video. But once you get the pancakes on the griddle, I mean, it'll maybe take 10 minutes tops. And these, oh gosh, they're so amazing. A light pumpkin flavor. You can put maple syrup on top. You can even put pumpkin cream cheese on top. I have done that before, like make stacked and stuffed pancakes. Super good. The next recipe is my favorite, pumpkin scones. These require rolled oats and then a little bit of flour. I used a mixture of whole wheat and all-purpose. The all-purpose flour makes it a little bit softer, I think, but it's not a whole lot of it. But you would treat this mostly like a biscuit recipe. So you put like the dry ingredients in there, like the flour, the oats, the salt, I think even the baking powder. You mix all that together, and then you eventually cut in the butter, so it's just like a standard biscuit recipe. I absolutely love my KitchenAid mixer for this. It does an excellent job of mixing everything together and definitely saves my wrist. And then in the other bowl, you just mix in the pumpkin and the eggs and a little bit of milk, and then you will add that to the mixer as well. And then once you put it in, it becomes like a dough form, like I said, just like biscuits. Now these are a little bit lower in sugar as well. As you saw, I only added a 1/4 cup of brown sugar, so it gave it a slight bit of sweetness. And then I added a 1/2 cup of chocolate chips because I cannot have a pumpkin treat without chocolate chips. These were actually the dark ones, which I think taste a lot better. What do you guys think? So see, like I keep saying, it's like biscuit dough. You just take it over to a cutting board that's been dusted with flour and knead it a little bit. You roll it out, and then you can do this in a couple of ways. I cut mine into circles using a tuna can, but you could also form these into maybe either one giant circle or 2 smaller circles and cut them into triangles, because you know scones could be triangle shaped, they could be circle shaped. For me, I think I can get them in a more even shape if I use circles. Because like I don't like cutting them into the triangles and then finding out that they're all like differently shaped and different sizes, because I like to have a big scone. I don't like having like a huge one and then a tiny one, so this is perfect. I had a little baby one there. I can't just throw away the extra dough. You gotta put it on there, right? But as you can see, they did rise just a teeny bit. They should be slightly firm when you touch them. And then using a spatula, turned one over, it is slightly browned on the bottom, so they were perfectly done. And these are sweet enough for a dessert, but they're also healthy enough to have for breakfast. I definitely have indulged a few times, both for breakfast, for dessert, even with my afternoon coffee. These are perfect anytime and super good for like an outing, like a brunch. And these will probably make it on my menu at least once every couple of weeks, to be honest with you. And the last recipe is for a pumpkin baked oatmeal. So it's a standard baked oatmeal recipe where you mix in the oats. I've got some cinnamon and some salt. Just mix that together. And I put a little bit of maple syrup. I think I used less than the recipe called for, just because I know John likes to put maple syrup on his as well. But the one thing that surprised me was that there were no eggs in this recipe. Usually a baked oatmeal has eggs, but I'm guessing that maybe the milk and the pumpkin kind of hold everything together. And I also used peanut butter. The recipe also says you could use some olive oil instead of peanut butter, but I wanted to add the peanut butter because, I mean, peanut butter is amazing. So it's really soft at first, but I just stuck it into an 8x8 casserole dish and I smoothed it out really good to make sure I got all even pieces. Like you heard me say before, I like having very even servings. So I put it in the oven for about 25 minutes or so. When it came out, it was nice and firm. So once it cooled a little bit, I cut it into 4 servings. I usually calculate the calories on everything, and this particular one, it didn't have enough calories serving 6, so I served it as 4 instead, which means it is super big servings. So I've got the calorie info for each one of them, as you can see here in the video. But once it cools, just put it in a regular Rubbermaid container, stick it in the fridge, and you can microwave it. You can put extra peanut butter on top or top it with maple syrup. You can serve it with eggs on the side or some sausage as well. I think I messed up. I said the oatmeal was the last recipe. This is the last recipe. These are pumpkin oat muffins. So you first just mix together the milk and oats and let it sit for about 10 minutes. That gets the oats really soft, and that makes for a super soft muffin. Trust me, you don't want to skip that step. But it's also just basically a standard muffin recipe. You mix together all the dry ingredients and then add in the wet. Obviously, there's tons of pumpkin. I like to buy my pumpkin cans at Aldi just because they seem to be the cheapest. I always buy like 4 or 5, so I always have a good stock. And this recipe uses a ½ cup of honey, which for 18 muffins is what I got out of it. That's not really a whole ton of sugar per muffin. And then, of course, the dark chocolate chips. I think it was maybe a ½ cup. But then after you add in everything else, you put in the milk and oat mixture and mix all of that together. Like I said, I was able to get 18 muffins out of this recipe. You could probably fill the muffin tins a little bit more and get slightly less muffins, but I kind of like having 18 muffins out of this. And that just means they're small enough that you can have 2, and 2 muffins are always better than 1. Now these baked for about 15 minutes in the oven and they came out perfectly. They're nice and browned. A toothpick came out clean. So just let them sit for a few minutes and then put them on a cooling rack just to cool off. But you can eat these muffins by themselves, or as you see, I'm cutting mine in half and I am putting pumpkin cream cheese on top. Yes, I went there. And by the way, pumpkin cream cheese is super cheap at Aldi. But again, like with the scones, these are great for desserts, but also healthy enough for breakfast. Let me know what you guys think. Like I said before, the recipes for these are down in the description, so make sure you check them out. Also, let me know which one is your favorite and which one you were excited to try. I know that my favorite is definitely the scones. Oh my gosh, like eating them in the morning, in the evening as like an evening treat, or even with my coffee in the afternoon. It is perfect for everything. So stay tuned because I've got some more pumpkin goodness coming your way very soon. And make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel. Make sure you like this video and ring that bell so you can be notified when that video comes out, as well as my grocery hauls, recipes, and meal planning tips. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you later.